In this video, I'll show you some of the differences among the past tense, the present perfect tense, and the past perfect tense. Here's the verb become. In the simple form, in the past tense, it's became, and as a past participle, it's become. He became a lawyer. This is in the past tense. It's this verb here. He has become a lawyer. This is in the present perfect tense. Here's the past participle, and this is the helping verb, has. It matches the subject, he. Before he turned 28, he had become a lawyer. Here's the past perfect tense. The action for the verb in the past perfect tense comes before the action for another verb in this sentence, which in this case, the verb is turned. Before he turned 28, he had become a lawyer. So we know that this happened first. He became a lawyer, and then he turned 28. So when he became a lawyer, he was actually 27. Before he turned 28, he had become a lawyer. You could say he became a lawyer at 27. That would have the same meaning as this sentence, but you're using the past tense. Or you could say he has become a lawyer. In this case, it sounds fairly recent, or it's sometime in the past that we have not identified. And here, before he turned 28, he had become a lawyer. The use of the past perfect helps to emphasize how old he was at the time that he became a lawyer, and it was before he turned 28, which means that he became a lawyer at 27. Either way, you can use this sentence in the past tense, or you can use this sentence in the past perfect tense, and this indicates exactly when he became a lawyer. But this sentence does not. This sentence in the present perfect does not indicate exactly when he became a lawyer. We just know that it happened sometime in the past. Let's look at the reasons why we use each of these three verb tenses. For the past tense, there's a time in the past. It's a very definite time. Let's say it's Tuesday or February 18th. We know exactly when something happened, and it may have happened only one time, or on one day, or at one time. We use the present perfect tense for a time in the past, but we can't identify it. This is perhaps the recent past, or it's just some time in the past, but we don't know when exactly it happened. Or something happened in the past several times. Or something happened starting in the past and it continues until now. For the past perfect tense, something happened in the past, and then another thing happened in the past. The past perfect is represented by this first past action, and then following that, you have some sort of past action. It's very common to use the past perfect tense with a verb that is in the past tense. These are two different actions that happened in the past. These sentences all use the verb lose. In the simple form, it's lose. In the past tense, it's lost. And the past participle is lost. They lost their keys. This is in the past tense. And we can identify when exactly it happened. They lost their keys this morning. Or you don't have to use this. You could just say they lost their keys. In this sentence, they have lost their keys. This is in the present perfect tense, and we don't know exactly when it happened. This sounds like the recent past. They told me they had lost their keys. Here's the past perfect tense, and then here's the past tense. The past perfect verb, action, happens before the other verb that's in the same sentence. So they lost their keys, and then they told me about it. This happened first, and then this happened second. Here's the verb live. The simple form is live. The past tense is lived, and the past participle is lived. We lived there for 10 years. This is in the past tense. It indicates that the action is completely in the past. In this sentence, we have lived here for 10 years. It is possible to use there instead of here, but in this case, let's just use here. We have lived here for 10 years. So in the present perfect tense, something happens starting in the past. Let's say it's 2015, and now it's 2025, and the situation is still the same. Have lived starts here and brings us up to the present. We have lived here for 10 years. In this sentence, using the past perfect tense, right here, we moved, this is the past tense, in 2021. And this is what happened before we moved in 2021. We had lived there for 10 years. Remember that the past perfect is very useful when talking about a past action that happens before another past action. So here's 2021, this is now in 2025, and this is that 10-year period. So this goes back to 2011. We had lived there for 10 years, and we moved in 2021, and now it's 2025, and I'm talking to you about it now. We had lived there for 10 years before we moved in 2021. Notice that we can rearrange the order of the sentence and begin with this. We had lived there for 10 years before we moved in 2021. The meaning is the same. The past perfect is useful because it should indicate the action that happened before another past action. Looking at the differences among the past, the present perfect, and the past perfect with the verb have is a little confusing because the verb have is a helping verb. Here's the verb in the simple form. The helping verb in this case is did. Here's the verb in the past tense. Here's the verb have in the form of a past participle. When forming the present perfect tense or the past perfect tense, remember that we use have. It could be have or has in the present perfect tense, or had in the past perfect tense, and then you use this as the main verb, had. Have had, has had, had. She didn't have a problem. This is in the past. She hasn't had a problem. This is in the present perfect, and it's negative, and we're not indicating exactly when she hasn't had a problem. It sounds like the recent past, or it brings us up to today. She hasn't had a problem. You could say she hasn't had a problem yet. And in this sentence, she hadn't had a problem until this morning. So this is negative. There was not a problem. She didn't have a problem until something happened this morning. There's no verb to represent the action, whatever it was, but it's implied that there's some action that occurred, and before that time, she hadn't had a problem. We could add a verb here. She hadn't had a problem until she turned it on this morning. Here we know exactly what the other action was. She hadn't had a problem until she turned it on. So on the timeline, this is the negative verb, hadn't had, and then here she turned the thing on, whatever it was. But this indicates the absence of a problem. This didn't exist in the past until this happened in the past. For this example, let's use the phrasal verb give up. Give up, gave up, given up. I gave up hope. Here's the past tense. I have given up hope. Here's the present perfect tense. And I had nearly given up hope. This is the past perfect tense, before help arrived. This verb is in the past tense. So on the timeline, this is had given up, had nearly. Nearly means almost. I had nearly given up hope. And then here is when the help arrived. I had nearly given up hope before help arrived. If you change the order of the sentence and start here, it still has the same meaning. Before help arrived, I had nearly given up hope. If you begin the sentence with before in your writing, then a comma has to go here. Before help arrived, I had nearly given up hope. This is a complex sentence. In the first part of the sentence, the verb is in the past tense. And in the second part of the sentence, the verb is in the past perfect tense.